Hello, and welcome to the Arlington campus live streaming demo. My name is Kenny. I'm the Senior Event Manager. And to my right is Molly, our Scheduling and Events Manager. Behind the scenes today will be our AV Manager, Brian. You'll see him later on in our presentation. And today we're going to go ahead and cover all aspects of our streaming services. But before we do that, we will have a component of our live chat for Q&A. So if you have any questions, any comments, please go ahead and put that in the chat. To kick things off, I want to start with our cameras. So we have two cameras. One camera is in our auditorium that's stationary in the back of the auditorium. And in our MPR, which is our multi-purpose room, we have a mobile camera that can be presented or positioned in different areas of the multi-purpose room. Now, both cameras are able to zoom in and zoom out, and also pan track our presenters when needed. Now, we do have something that we're excited about is an additional camera, which is our additional mobile camera that we right now are configuring to activate in our inventory. Once it's configured and is active, then we'll go ahead and let you guys know that you can go ahead and utilize it. The great thing about that is that this camera is a great component to your event, which will definitely allow you to have not just one shot, but two shots and have different angles as well. So again, once we're able to have that activated, we'll definitely let you guys know. Now I'm going to go ahead and kick it off to Molly, which she will go ahead and give you guys more of a oversight of our PowerPoint configurations.
Hey everyone, like Kenny said, I'm Molly Duke, one of the other event managers and scheduling manager here in our Arlington office. So like Kenny was saying about the cameras, with our new cameras, we can now pan and track. So say we're just having a fireside chat, we can get up and walk over to the podium to then maybe present on a PowerPoint. Now, inside our event spaces, the presentation is going to work the same as it was for an in-person event. We still have a slide advancer you can use to move through the slides. You'll be able to stand here and talk. You can walk around on stage if you don't want to be a mobile presenter. And you guys also might be familiar now at this point with in platforms like Zoom webinar, where you might share your screen to show a PowerPoint and then have your little camera so the people can watch you present the PowerPoint that's on the screen. With our cameras, we can now have that same feature, that same function happening. We're able to see the PowerPoint for the virtual presenters, but then you stand with our professional cameras standing at a podium or on the stage can be in the corner, so you're not only showing a PowerPoint as you're presenting. We also can do this with videos as well, so video integration. So if you have some presenter who isn't able to participate live during an event, they can send in some pre-recorded content. And you can either share the screens just like you do in a Zoom call, or if you give it to us, we can handle the pre-recorded content for you. I'd also like to point out right now, we do have, I'm looking at the presentation that you guys are seeing as well, and I'm doing so with the confidence monitor that we have set up. And so it's right in front of us, so I can be staring straight at that. I don't have to be turning to the side to look over at a PowerPoint screen. Now, though, we're going to be showing you some pre-recorded video that we made just last week.
Live streaming in the Arlington auditorium is a little bit different from in the multipurpose room. The auditorium features a built-in Sony camera capable of zooming in, panning, and framing the perfect shot for your event. Our large wooden stage with a built-in double projector screen backdrop is perfect for any panel, conference, discussion, or presentation. The auditorium's fixed tiered seating allows for a large room capacity, even with social distancing. Governor's regulations apply. Reserve your event in the auditorium today.
I'm Brian, by the way, the audiovisual manager here, and running the scenes in the back here. I did want to talk a little bit about our software that we're using to present to you right now. It's called Wirecast. It's a brand new software that sort of acts as the middleman between our camera and our presentations and Zoom. So as you can see, from what's happening in the presentation so far. We've had our camera shots either on the full screen or in the side corner here, like it is now. We've also had titles go across the screen. For example, I'll fade back to myself with my title here. That can, of course, be customized for your event for whatever title you want to show there. We can also do custom titles for each section or panel, so that could be good for transitioning between panels in your event. Also, any department or event information you want to show on the screen. We also had our intro and outro slides like you saw when you joined, and we're waiting for the event to start. And we can also do branding, social media links, basically anything you can think of, we can show on the screen here. It adds a really nice effect to any streamed events, and something you definitely don't get in your basic Zoom meeting or event like that. If you could go to the next slide. Awesome. I also want to talk a little bit about the platforms. As you know, we're on Zoom right now, specifically Zoom Webinar, which is going to be probably our main platform using this service, but we also can be compatible with YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Vimeo. I think those are probably the main ones that we'll use, but anything else really you can think of, we can stream to it. Also, we can stream simultaneously to multiple platforms. So let's say we had a Zoom event and people also wanted to join through YouTube. That way they don't have to sign into their Zoom account or whatever. We could stream to both of them at the same time. It's a really awesome feature that we will hopefully use in the future. Looks like we're going to talk about hybrid events next, so I will throw you back to Kenny on stage, and he will give you some information on that.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, so what is a hybrid event? So a hybrid event is a live event with limited in-person attendance that is supported with a virtual streaming component. This allows you to open up a larger audience than an in-person event. It also allows you to have a more professional look to your event as well, as you were able to actually get a little bit more information from Brian on far as how we were able to bring those different components within inside of now a hybrid event. This also allows you to have better networking while in attendance. They can go ahead and also opt out of the in-person networking. Now I'm going to go ahead and give that back to Brian so he can go ahead and speak about virtual event production.
Awesome, thank you, Kenny. Yeah, so this is a brand new service that I've actually worked with some people in this call on before, and we're really excited to bring it out to the full Arlington campus, which is fully virtual event assistance. So no in-person component. And we offer assistance from start to finish of your virtual event, like a Zoom webinar. So we can create the registration page, make it look nice and pretty, so that your attendees will be encouraged to join the event, of course. And then as far as preparing for the event goes, we'll be available by email, phone, and Zoom to advise you, support you in any questions that you might have. We'll also help run your practice session. That way we can get all your attendees used to the Zoom webinar platform, how to share their screen, share their audio, which apparently I need to work on myself, but that's another story. And the management of the actual webinar itself, which is what I'm doing basically right now, where we can change the camera shot, we can do all sorts of other stuff that Zoom webinar is capable of. And then finally, providing a recording of the event to you afterwards. We can also trim and edit it down to small clips, like for social media. Thank you, Tony. Yes, Tony is one of the people I've worked with before on the Zoom webinar, and I think it went really well. Yeah, that's a great example. So yeah, I think we have one more slide to talk to you about, and that is our prices. And I will throw it back to Molly for that.
Okay, everyone. So we've covered all the new services we have today, but the big question is, how much are these going to cost? Streaming is going to be $40 an hour with a 2-hour minimum for the duration that you're actually streaming. So say you have an all-day conference, but maybe you only want to stream the morning portion, that's 2 or 3 hours. We would only be charging you that $40 an hour for that 2 or 3 hours that you're actually streaming. And this streaming cost is on top of all the other basic event costs that have always existed. So the setup fee, the AV package, regular staffing, and any other resources you might be using during the event. Now, like Kenny said at the beginning, we are eventually going to start incorporating a second camera into our roster as well. And when that happens, we will have an additional cost for that second camera. But because we're not ready to roll that out yet, we don't yet have a cost to present to you guys. But we will be letting you all know once that is ready. So please contact us if you have any questions, especially about virtual event production, as we are continuing to work those costs out as well. So this brings us to the end of our presentation. Thank you guys for joining us. So like Kenny said at the beginning, if you guys have been submitting any comments or questions throughout the presentation, we'd love to read those now and try and answer them as best as we can, or feel free to submit them right now if you haven't already. So Brian, have we received any questions that people would like answers for?
Yes, I have received a couple questions so far, and please feel free to keep sending them in. We had a question from Casey Kennard saying, is this only possible in the auditorium and NPR? That's a good question, and at the moment, yes. We're still working on configuring how we get our cameras and this whole new computer system and our software and all the various connections that we need to do in order to get this up and running. So at the moment, yes, we will keep it to just the auditorium and NPR. If you're thinking about maybe doing this in a classroom at some point, I think that would be possible in the future. But for the moment, we will stick to just the auditorium and NPR. And the other question is, how does this enhanced service impact fees for using these spaces? I hope that question was answered in the pricing slide. If not, then we can definitely reach out to us, and we're happy to send out the rate sheets and answer any questions on that. Question here from Tony saying, all right, on in-person live streams, as you're set up on stage, do folks have to wear masks, or will they be spaced far enough to not wear them? As of right now, Kenny, did you want to answer that one?
As of right now, as far as protocol, we do have our mask on, but that would actually be something that we would have to ask as far as our acceptance committee to see if that's possible for us to end up having those masks being taken off. Has that happened before? It has, but again, like I stated, we will have to put that request in. As you guys can actually see, Molly and I are actually positioned as far as the chairs that we are 6 feet apart, and that's just based on guidelines that are upon far as the state and also university. So hopefully I answered that question for you.
Awesome, thanks, Kenny. I've got one more question here for the moment, which says, if a group books a virtual or hybrid event in 25 Live, can we assume that the streaming services will be available for the group that holds the MBR or the meter hall that day? When you book the event in 25 Live, please note that you would like to do a virtual or hybrid event, and then from there we can work on how we want to do the event. I could see, if you booked a virtual event, then probably no, you wouldn't get the NPR unless you specifically requested the NPR. I think Molly would also like to chime in.
Yeah, so some of you guys may have already been submitting these events in 25 Live already, but when it comes to submitting an event request in 25 Live, you need to submit a request for the actual space, because of course, if you want to be using the space in the sense that we're doing right now and be using these types of resources, we need to have the space reserved in order to be able to put this on. Now, when you're submitting the request, you might be able to put in the comments, hey, we want to be doing a hybrid event or be using some of these live streaming services, in which case we'll know we're going to be working with you on that. But if you submit a request and are only submitting a request for the virtual event location code that exists in 25 Live for solely virtual events, that will not be reserving you physical space. We'll be able to help you in that regard. Now, if you're trying to do a virtual event, but maybe you want the virtual event production help, like Brian had mentioned, that we've done already with some events last semester. Now you can submit a virtual event request and that, because that wouldn't require physical space, that just might require our support over email or phone for a Zoom call or something. So you can submit a request for the virtual event code, and then maybe in the comments put how you want a virtual event production help. And I would say also make sure you, once you submit that request, take the reference code. So the 2020 dash, whatever 6 letters those are, or 2021, I suppose at this point. So 2021 dash, whatever those 6 letters are. And if you email that to our inbox, our rlevents@gmu.edu inbox, we can make sure we've received that request for virtual event production assistance and be able to start working with you on that right away.
Awesome, thanks, Molly. And yeah, if you guys, I know the event reservation process has gotten a little convoluted since virtual events and everything started. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Molly or to anyone in our office. And we'll definitely be happy to assist on that. We have one more question. Can both handheld mics and wireless mics be used for live stream / talk show style? Yes. As you can see, I'm going with the lavalier mic at the moment, while Kenny and Molly have the handheld mics. We can switch it up. We are currently trying to avoid lavalier mics as much as possible at the moment, just because it requires us to put it on the attendee, and that sort of violates the 6-foot distancing rule. So at the moment, we are going to try to avoid those as much as possible, but yes, we can use those. We can also use our table mics that require no touching at all, if you wanted to use that as well. Great. Are there any more questions? Feel free to email us as well. Also, I will provide the recording to everybody who attended, and I'll also send you that video that I wasn't able to play, so you can take a look at that, which just goes over streaming in the auditorium. I guess without any further ado, I will call it an end. So thank you guys so much for joining.
Thank you, guys.
I'll throw it up to Kenny and Molly for any closing remarks.
Yeah, thank you everyone that actually attended. And again, if you have any questions or concerns or comments, please go ahead and email us at arlevent.edu. We'll be happy to go ahead and answer any questions. We definitely want to open this invitation to everyone that is looking for assistance or wanting to find any other options for their events within this semester and also in the future as well. We definitely want to also thank our staff, Colin, for being behind the camera and assisting us today as well. And thank you for actually attending.
Thanks, everyone.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.